One of the primary things you'll be doing in a Harvest Moon game is ranching. You have to talk to the animals and brush them and milk them or whatever every single day to raise their happiness up as fast as possible. I like how you at least have visible text boxes show up when you talk, rather than it just being implied that you're talking to them. And unlike in Friends of Mineral Town, you can still move around while the text is on the screen, so it doesn't break the pace. You're better off just feeding the animals to feed directly, because trying to place them in the fodder bin with the animals crowding around is fucking impossible. You're guaranteed to feed animals by accident if you do that. I hate how the animals always turn around and start facing a different way when you talk to them, because it makes it all the easier for them to end up too close to another animal and cause the hitboxes to screw up. Seriously, the hitbox for a ranch animal is gigantic. Why does the game think that I'm trying to milk a cow that is on the opposite side of the cow I'm clearly trying to milk? How is this not bad programming? And why the hell do you have completely random qualities of dairy products regardless of how high their affection for you is? That makes no sense. Friends of Mineral Town did it far better. At least in that game it's a lot more predictable what quality of product you're going to get. It takes forever to finish your ranch towards natural melody. At least it's better in that the cows, horses, and sheep stay the fuck still. Instead of moving all over the barn, making it easy to lose track of which ones you intended to. And since you can only hold 8 animals in the barn, it makes the chores go by faster and feel less daunting. I also appreciate the feature where you press Z and see the name of the animal or person above your head and become green if you feed them or give them a gift. I really do appreciate that, and I wish Friends of Mineral Town did that. Again, it'd make it easier not to lose track of which cows I milked. In Friends of Mineral Town, you can't feed animals directly. So while you can put feed in the feed bins, if you don't have enough feed for the day during a festival and have to skip out feeding some of them, it gets really glaring how you have no way of always knowing which feed bins correspond to which animals. Because for all you know, you could get your best cow unhappy with you. Why can't you just feed them directly? We'll scratch that, because having to bring feed to each and every one of them would make ranching in the game drag out even longer. You can have so many animals to feed every day, and the amount of grass you can have on your farm is so gigantic that you're better off planting grass and sending your animals out to graze every day, after the grass is finished growing, of course. After the first week of spring, no matter how eaten the grass is, you don't have to worry about any of your 16 animals not getting anything to eat, because if you send them out to graze, all of them will get something eventually. But here's the thing. After you send them out to graze, you can't just press a button in the barn to instantly send them all back to the barn. No, you have to spend hours with the bell rounding them up and relying on their path-finding AI to get them back into the barn. And because you don't want them to get bitten by wild dogs late in the night, you're forced to start rounding them up as early as 4 o'clock. Which sucks if you're in the summer or autumn when you should be fishing up treasure chests and fossils. I hate how if an animal isn't at high enough affection for you, it might not listen to you and will completely ignore the bell. Because then you could get a situation where it's essentially stranded outside way too far away from the entrance to the barn. So you can't push it in there before the wild dog shows up. And normally it's fine to leave an animal outside all night to graze, and you probably should do that if you want the best quality milk faster. But God help you if it's forecast to rain and you can't get that stubborn cow back inside in time. A Wonderful Life did it a million times better by having you bring the animals inside and outside with the press of a button. Unfortunately, it also had your cattle hate you and refuse to give you milk for some obtuse reason. So I consider it to be a bust. Sheep are really annoying because they only give you wool once a week. And the sheep festival sucks, because it requires that the sheep still has its wool for you to enter into competition. So you have to plan ahead and remember not to shear it for a while to enter it. Yarn can ship for high prices, but not high enough to make up for it only being gotten once a week. And I hate how dyeing special yarn somehow reduces its shipping price because the developers didn't bother to give different shipping prices to dyed yarn of different qualities. I think it's weird how the game doesn't tell you what recipe you're going to make if you're unlocking a new recipe. Dyed yarn doesn't even appear in the recipe list, so why doesn't it tell you what you'll make the first time? At least dyed yarn yields different amounts of money depending on what color it is, and each color has its own model. You dye yarn by placing in the dye pot along with the herb or flower of the right color. Weirdly enough, The supposed red herb is actually pink, and yet it still makes red yarn, while you make pink yarn with pink cat flowers instead. So to dye yarn, which is the only way to increase the selling price of yarn that isn't the max quality, you have to take hours out of your day to go all the way to the mountains and search for herbs and flowers. At least in Friends of Mineral Town, you can get to the woods and mountains a lot faster because they're literally right across from your house. And you move a lot faster, and better yet, foraging in the mountains is actually profitable. While in Magical Melody, you'd be shocked just how little money you get from shipping honey in Kigani. Honey is something that can be lost forever in Magical Melody if you cut down the more trees that are designated as honey trees. Because for some reason, it's impossible to plant honey trees of your own, even though they're the exact same species as the more trees. And it's so annoying going all the way to the mountains just to get it. It should be worth a lot more money than this. And Kigani is only available in the summer and is used for making caffeine to finish the recipe list. So again, it's worth a lot more money than this? It's weird because in Magical Melody, foraging isn't nearly as profitable, even though it's a lot more tedious going all the way to the mountains, and you can't get everything from it in one trip. While in Friends of Mineral Town, they're a lot more profitable and easier to get to, and end up being your main method of getting money early in the game. Guys? You got it backwards. Anyways, my point is that sheep aren't worth having more than one of. They only produce wool once a week. You have to buy a yarn maker from the junk shop to make it into yarn, and then it takes too much effort to dye it if it's not good enough. And don't even get me started on horses. Horses suck. You can't ride horses inside barns for some reason. You have to use an extremely unintuitive to use reins to get it outside, and the game tries to excuse this as the reins being hard to master. That's never an acceptable excuse in any video game. Horses don't run all that fast, and inexplicably can't jump over anything, which is utter bullshit. Jumping over fences is what horses do. You can do that in Twilight Princess. Why not here? It takes 8 in-game hours of constant running with a horse to give it exactly 1 training star. And granted, you can get away with making a horse just run into a wall for 8 hours to earn it, but you don't want to get your character tired by staying up all night doing that. And when it reaches the next day, you're warped back to your house automatically. So if you think you can train your horse up really easily by putting a rubber band in the control stick, you're in for a nasty surprise. Horses aren't worth keeping after you've gotten all the races won. The most obvious glitch in the game can be discovered by going into a building like your house or the inn with a horse on that exact property. Usually when you leave a building, the horse will be in the exact same place it was before. But if the horse was on the building's property when you enter the building, it'll vanish. And sometimes it returns to its barn, but I've actually heard reports of the horse disappearing entirely. Forever. And you can never get it back. Debuggers? What's that? You'd think that since they make debuggers turn the console on and off over and over again just to check for bugs, you'd think that they'd get the idea to get them to find this bug too. There's also a glitch where if you reload when the baby's in the cradle, you'll see him sitting over the cradle hovering above it. And then he'll either cry or crawl forwards as if the cradle's not even there. Again, how did they miss this? The glitch that had me worried the most is one that I'm not even sure how I triggered. For some reason, all the villagers somehow lost 1 heart. And that could be explained as me littering and forgetting about it, but the weird thing is, a lot of the villagers that were absent from the village had their affection for me increased by 1 heart, and they shot straight up to the top of my list. Has this happened to anyone else? How the hell is this not a glitch? You're not supposed to be able to raise the affection of villagers that are absent at all. Anyways, the horse isn't nearly fast enough to be worth taking him out of the barn. You can't even bring him into the lake area. So if you think you can use him to get to the lake mine quicker, you're wrong. I can understand restricting the horse so that it can't be used indoors, but preventing it from going to the lake? Really? Last time I checked, the lake was outdoors too. I know that the lake area is a nature reserve, but if they're worried about the ecosystem being damaged because a non-native species of horse is brought there, then that exact same logic should apply to banning humans from coming there too. It's so arbitrary, and makes an already useless horse even worse. And I don't like how long it takes to get off the horse, and how it seems completely random what side the horse you jump off of. By the way, remember how unintuitive I said the reins were? Well, just getting onto the horse to ride in the first place is unintuitive. To the point where there's all sorts of forums with people asking how to do it. Instead of keeping it intuitive and letting you climb onto the horse with the same button that lets you talk to it, the A button, you have to know to press the X button, despite the fact that nothing in the game is telling you to do that. You can see the X button on the screen, but it doesn't have text on it telling you that you can ride your horse with it. And if you don't press X when standing next to the horse in exactly the right way, you'll get out your tool instead. Or worse, actually use it. Why can't it be like in Friends of Mineral Town, where all you do to get on the horse is press A? After that, sure, you can't talk to the horse anymore, but at least they keep it simple. Friends of Mineral Town has the horse be actually fast for once, which I cannot compliment enough, because that's what a horse is fucking for. It allows you to ride it inside the stable and even use it as a shipping bin. And it can jump over stuff, which is great since wild dogs will come if your barn animals are still out when it's nighttime and fences come in handy then, considering they can literally eat your chickens. My point is, the horse you have in Mineral Town has a lot of things going for it. But here's the problem. It doesn't stay still. Magical Melody had the horse move around on its own too, but it's not nearly as bad and as unacceptable as this. At least, that horse waits for several seconds before running off on its own. It's impossible to rely on a horse that runs away at light speed 2 seconds after you get off it. You can't use it for a shipping bin, and you can't use it to ride because it's never always right beside you. And yes, you can whistle for it in both games, but you still have to wait for it to run up to you. And sometimes its pathfinding eye just sucks ass. And if it takes too long getting to you, it just gives up. While it dips around like a speeding bullet when you're riding it yourself, it doesn't run nearly as fast on its own. And unfortunately, it doesn't run that fast in the actual races either. At least you can whistle and make it respond from off screen, where it'll literally always be. That doesn't make up for anything. There are literally forums all over the internet asking how you can get the horse to stop running off like a jackass. This one problem with the horse completely destroys its usefulness and makes it only useful for one goddamn thing. Winning the horse race. That's it. And you know what else I hate? The fact that they arbitrarily restrict the horse to your farm. Why? Again, that completely destroys its usefulness. Why can't you have a reins item that doesn't use up any stamina and keeps working when you start using a different tool? That makes it so the horse is always guaranteed to always stay at your side, following obediently behind you, waiting for you to ride it. Or better yet, why can't you press A in front of crops while riding on the horse to ship them while you're still on it? If your horse is a shipping bin, then it shouldn't be not allowed to use it as such when I'm riding it, because when I'm not riding it, it's a shipping bin that won't stand still. And you know what happens when you try to ship with it and it runs away? Your character throws away the item and it immediately vanishes. Why? Why can't it just stay there and let you pick it up? Magical Melody had the item you dropped slowly shrink away until it finally vanishes for no good reason. And while I prefer it if the item just stayed there, at least it allows for the possibility of picking it back up. Friends of Mineral Town just discards it right away. Why do they have that option in the game when 99% of the time you won't want to use it? It's like the only reason they put that in the game is to dick you over. I mean, sure, you can throw eggs in the hot spring to make hot spring boiled eggs, because that's definitely something you think to do, and totally excuses not having a fence all the way around the goddamn hot spring. But that's the only thing you'll want to throw your item for, so why did they give that as an option? Throwing away items in the overworld when you're not in your farm counts as littering, and causes all the villagers to lose affection for you. Especially when you accidentally throw garbage back into the river Magical Melody because it told you to throw it away, but didn't tell you the consequences of choosing yes. In Mineral Town, you can throw items away without any consequences by going to the item menu and pressing start over the item. Because that's so intuitive, right guys? You totally think to do that. And how does your character get rid of it this way? Does he snap his fingers and teleport the item away? An anti-littering message isn't very effective when the litter vanishes from the ground after it hits it. If that's what happens to litter in the real world, no one would care about it. So not only does this make you wonder how the hell all the villagers even know that you litter in the first place, but it makes it all the more frustrating that you hate you for it when the item vanished instead of being an eyesore lying on the ground. It's nice that you can throw away items in the mines, because there's lots of items in the mines you won't want to put in your rucksack. Like junk ore, for one. But that's the only part of the game where throwing away items should be a possibility, because everywhere else it's just an annoyance. A punishment for trying to give a moving NPC a gift without holding down the walk button and walking into them first. This is a perfect example of how these two games could learn from each other. If the horse in Magical Melody moved as fast as the horse in Friends of Mineral Town and jumped over fences, and it could be used as a shipping bin, and it was like the Mineral Town horse that it doesn't ever have to be fed, that'd be perfect. But no. But without a doubt, the most annoying animal in Magical Melody is the fucking chicken. Because unlike all the other animals, they don't stay the fuck still. They wander all over the place. And the game developers thought it would be a good idea to allow chickens to eat mayonnaise if you gave it to them. But why would you ever do that? Well, the hitboxes of the chicken are so abnormally large that you can accidentally give them the mayonnaise instead of ship it when you're not even fucking facing them. I hate every single time that happens. It's less annoying when you do it with an egg because it just gets surprised and they would actually eat it. But why did they program this into the game? It's so cheap being cheated out of profit because of bad programming. This never happens in Friends of Mineral Town. There, you can't feed animals directly, but at least you can walk through them to keep the fast pace going and they don't steal your profits. In both games, you can make a new chicken for free by placing an egg in the nest and get a baby chick, which is adorable, but doesn't produce eggs and takes weeks to do so. You're essentially cheating yourself out of weeks of profit from eggs by having a chicken in your coop instead of just buying a new chicken. In fact, making animals give birth in general is a gigantic waste of money. Just buy new animals. Pregnant animals don't give you any products and you're cheating yourself out of a lot of money and feed by doing this. The only reason you'll use the Miracle Potion Magical Melody is to get a note. That's it. By the way, you can still put an egg in the incubator if you have a full coop, but the egg won't hatch until your coop isn't full anymore. How does that work? At least in Friends of Mineral Town, they have a message show up telling you that the coop is full and you can't waste an egg because of it. In both games, your barnyard animals can die, both from being treated badly and from old age. Chickens have a shorter life than the other animals, living for only 4 years, meaning it's impossible to get all your chickens to win the chicken festival because you can only enter one chicken at a time, and some will die of old age before they get their chance. It feels like an attempt to make the game feel more fresh by forcing you to start all over again with new animals. But it just annoys you and makes your accomplishments with the animals feel pointless. In Magical Melody, the first time your animal gets sick, you get shown your animal being buried in a funeral and it turns out to be a dream. And that Hank had somehow known your animal was sick and healed him himself. How did he know your animal was sick before you did? Is Hank secretly your stalker or something? I expect that of your rival Jamie, but not him. If your animal dies, the funeral cutscene is shown without the revelation that's all a dream. At least the characters don't treat it like it's your fault if they die of old age. In Friends of Mineral Town, they have a similar concept. In both games, I recommend that you reload your file and sell the animal about to die the next day. But chances are the game won't let you do that and you'll see the funeral cutscene the next morning no matter how many times you reload. Especially in Magical Melody. At least only one animal can die at a time. Chances are, if you bought all of your chickens or whatever on the same day, if one species of animal is dying of old age, every animal of that species is going to. So sell all of them at once. It's really amazing that you can get away with selling animals that are literally days away from death. But it works. It's also why you should keep entering your animals in festivals, because it raises their selling value and you're going to be forced to sell them eventually anyways. But for some arbitrary reason, you're not allowed to sell sheep that don't need shearing. And you're not allowed to sell baby animals either. So if your sheep is about to die of old age, you're very unlikely to be able to sell it in time because sheep spend 99% of the time sheared. Both games only allow you to buy baby cows and horses. And it's really annoying feeling cheated out of profits because you're feeding them without getting anything in return. Ranching is a very integral part of both of the games, but it does have a lot of problems. Magical Melody makes it take too long, and Friends of Mineral Town, well, it also takes too long, but it's hard to tell which ones that you've already tended to. Next time I'm going to be talking about farming.